Next on Worcester News Tonight, Uxbridge police warning the public of a check fraud scam, which targeted the police department. Plus, a big change coming to a popular retail store in Worcester. Could it impact where people shop for Halloween costumes? Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Andy Madison. We begin tonight in Uxbridge, where police are warning residents to be wary about a scam involving checks being sent through the mail. The department learning about it firsthand when one of the checks was sent to the police chief. According to the police, the scam involves a large check delivered in a package just like this one with instructions to call or text a given number. Police say the scam artists are trying to get the recipient to deposit the check and then transfer the money into another bank account. But the checks are bogus. Police learned about the scam when one of the packages was actually delivered to the police department. Residents in Uxbridge say it's fortunate the police learned about the scam first.
Things in the mail before, and you've asked about getting random checks in the mail, and if I'm not expecting a check from anybody, or if I'm not knowing I'm supposed to get a refund, I'd be a little leery and I would throw it out.
The Uxbridge Police Department posting these photos on their Facebook page to help warn the public. They urge anyone who has received a check similar to this one to contact the authorities. Do not call the number that is given in the package. A former security guard convicted of shooting and killing a Worcester man more than 2 years ago is sentenced earlier today in court. Prosecutors asked for the maximum penalty for William Penn after a jury found him guilty of voluntary manslaughter, while his lawyers asked for a lesser sentence due to health concerns. Our Olivia Lemon was in court for the sentence and has the latest.
The Worcester man convicted in the killing of another man in 2014 is sentenced to 17 to 20 years in state prison Wednesday. Prosecutors say Howard Penn fatally shot Lloyd Worcester in the Albion rooming house. Wednesday, family members of both Penn and Worcester were in the courtroom. 2 impact statements were read by Worcester's family members. His daughter, Nicole Worcester, says Penn got exactly what he deserved in his sentencing.
I just never imagined my father would be taken from me as early as he was, and definitely not in the way that he was. And I'm not sure I'll ever come to terms with losing him in such a terrible way.
He was always the life of any party or holiday event. He did like to joke around a lot, but it was always harmless. I do not think he could have hurt a fly.
Penn was working as a security guard inside the Albion rooming house when he shot Worcester, a fellow employee, in the back. Prosecutors say Penn has a 4-page criminal record dating back to the 1970s. His previous charges include assault and battery with a dangerous weapon and threatening murder. Penn was found guilty of manslaughter in the 2014 case.
I don't agree with the jury verdict, Judge. It's not my job to comment on that. However, that tape is clear, Judge. He shoots a man in the back as he's walking away.
Prosecutors asked the judge for Penn to be sentenced to 18 to 20 years in state prison. Meanwhile, Penn's lawyer argued for an 8 to 12-year sentencing, referencing his client's health issues.
He is not receiving the full range of medical care that I believe he needs.
Now, Penn's lawyer says he will also be deported back to his home country of the Turks and Caicos after completing his sentencing. The maximum penalty for manslaughter is 20 years. Again, Penn is sentenced to 17 to 20 years. Andy?
Thank you, Olivia. The man accused of killing State Trooper Thomas Clardy in a car crash earlier this year also made a brief appearance in court this morning. Members of Trooper Clardy's family were there for David Nagoona's hearing, along with several state troopers, according to the Telegram. His case was continued to October, so he was only in court for a few minutes. Naguna is accused of ramming into the back of Trooper Clardy's cruiser on the Pike. Trooper Clardy was conducting a traffic stop at the time. A popular retail store during Halloween will soon be under new ownership. According to Mass Live, Halloween Outlet is being sold to Spectre Incorporated. The store recently downsized, allowing Dollar Tree to move in next door. The store owner also told Mass Live it will remain a costume shop, and other than the new owners, not much will change about the shop and its inventory. The sale hasn't been finalized. Halloween Outlet has been a family-run business for over 3 decades. Former state representative John Fresolo says he is running for public office again. He is campaigning as a third-party candidate in the 16th Worcester District. But the founder of the United Independent Party is coming out against Fresolo's run. Our Brittany Schaefer has a look at the possible looming political battle.
The criticism that I'm getting is pretty bewildering to me.
Former State Representative John Fresolo is running for his old seat. Fresolo was the 16th Worcester District Representative for 15 years before resigning in 2013 following an ethics investigation.
That's not an issue. I've always intended to run again.
Fresolo was a Democrat, but has decided to run as a United Independent Party nominee this time around to get onto the ballot.
I changed my party affiliation solely to get to the election in November. I believe I have a much greater shot at obtaining the seat again with the presidential election.
But the United Independent Party says they do not support Fresolo's campaign.
He's not the kind of person that the United Independent Party is about, which is why we immediately completely disavowed his candidacy and him in particular, and don't support what it is that he's doing.
The chairman of the United Independent Party, Evan Falchuk, says the party has 3 candidates in Worcester whom represent their beliefs.
When he resigned from the House, it was under a cloud of scandal. So he's not the kind of person that we would be looking for as a UIP candidate. We're looking for good people that want to represent their communities, and the history of his behavior is pretty well understood.
Fresolo says it's the positivity from his supporters that convinced him to run again, and the criticism is surprising.
Over the last 3 years, I've been encouraged by a lot of friends and former constituents.
You know, politics is crazy business, and there's crazy things that happen, and John Fresolo seems to be one of those things.
Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
A scary scene in Mendon this morning when a school bus and a car collided on a busy street. One person had to be med-flighted. Alicia Palumbo has a look at how the children on the bus are doing after the accident.
The damage was, from what I saw, was really, I don't know how anybody could survive it.
Life flight was called to this scary crash Wednesday morning between this school bus and this car on Route 140 in Mendon.
It was almost a head-on. They were turning, the bus was going straight, the bus tried to avoid, and as they avoided, obviously they went farther off to the left. Luckily no cars were in the other lane, and that's where they collided.
I didn't hear any screeching or anything. It was more of a metallic kind of banging crash. And I saw the end of the school bus, and so that's kind of when panic set in.
Amazingly, the 16 school-aged children on the bus headed to summer camp at this YMCA in Franklin were not seriously injured. The bus isn't equipped with seat belts, and witness April Hodge said some kids did fall out of their seats. Aside from some tears, they were otherwise fine.
I did run home and get some Band-Aids and paper towels for little cuts, but I didn't see anything major.
The man driving this car and his female passenger weren't as lucky.
First thing I thought was, I hope who's ever in that car is alive, because they're busy cutting pieces of the car off to extricate the driver.
Neighbors say they've seen several crashes here over the past few years with the tough sightline pulling out of Bates Road.
People coming out of that road usually have to poke out just a little bit to see the cars coming both ways.
My heart goes out, it really does, to the families involved, and I hope and pray that whoever it is okay.
Man and woman in the car have not yet been identified. At last check, police said they were at UMass Medical Center in Worcester with serious injuries. In Mendon, Massachusetts, Alicia Palumbo, Worcester News Tonight.
Crews have removed a small plane from the Quabbin Reservoir in Massachusetts. The plane made an emergency landing yesterday afternoon on a sandbar. The plane reported engine problems but was able to land without crashing. No injuries were reported in yesterday's landing. The drought we've been dealing with here in the Northeast this summer could have one positive result: fewer ticks. Researchers expect the number of deer ticks to be down from previous years. Those are ticks that transmit Lyme disease. State health officials are quick to say they won't know for sure whether fewer ticks will result in a decline in Lyme disease cases until all the data is collected later this year. Well, if you're a fan of 80s movies, then you've probably seen or quoted Top Gun. The 1986 film introduced us to Tom Cruise and took the audience on a thrilling ride into the danger zone of elite flight training in the U.S. Navy. As our Jennifer Zarate shows us, the movie got a special screening tonight in Worcester to mark the film's 30th anniversary.
Phoenix Hall hosts its first movie night featuring Top Gun. The iconic film is celebrating its 30th anniversary.
You know, I don't think there's a bad seat in the house.
Mechanics Hall Associate Executive Director Kathy Gagne says the hall has never hosted a feature film.
We thought it would be a great way for folks to enjoy the hall in a unique and new way.
At the showing, guests enjoyed a cash bar, popcorn station, and airplane souvenirs. Located on Main Street, residents say Mechanics Hall is in the heart of Worcester.
One of the great things about Worcester is it's a very manageable city to get around in, and there are a lot of cultural events like this one.
For one couple attending the featured film, Top Gun has always had a near and dear place in their hearts.
I surprised him on our wedding day. We walked down the aisle to the opening riff, the opening song. So everything we
It's my favorite movie. We haven't been here in years, so this actually brought us out here for, I'd say, the first time in a decade.
Gagne says the decision to host movie night came after a year of strategic planning.
One of the key points that came out of the strategic plan was to make sure that we encourage everyone in the community to come and enjoy this amazing building. And so what better way than to show a great movie that everyone loves.
I mean, I think it's a great idea. $5, the price is right. Acoustically, this place is amazing. It's world-renowned.
Mechanics Hall is hopeful movie night will be a success and that people will have a lot of fun. They would like people to know they're more than welcomed at Mechanics Hall. In Worcester, Jennifer Zarate.